The 6th of June marks the 75th anniversary of D-Day, the day the Allies launched the biggest cross-channel invasion in history, the day the world held its breath and prayed that the landings would be successful and Hitler's forces would finally be pushed back and eventually defeated. I was lucky enough to be on holiday in Normandy for the 50th anniversary in 1994 in Saint-Mary-Glisse, and 5 years ago I was again lucky to be able to make the trip to Normandy, to Arromanches, one of the British sectors on D-Day, to attend the 70th anniversary commemorations. The experiences I had on that trip provided many moments of reflection of what the men who landed there must have gone through. Last year I had the chance to find out what it was really like for St Austell D-Day veteran Harry Billinge when he agreed to speak to me about his experiences. Harry, then an 18-year-old sapper with the Royal Engineers, landed at 6:30 on the 6th of June 1944 as part of the first wave of British troops on Gold Beach at Annelles, a little way along the coast from Arromanches. Speaking to Harry, I wanted to go back to the very beginning and find out where he'd trained.
I trained in Scotland, Ayrshire. I was in Forward Barracks, Preston. I did a bit from Southport and Formby, small places there, for the D-Day landings. I did a time at Aldershot under a fired war course, they called it, in Gibraltar Barracks, Aldershot. I was glad to get out of there. Very regimental.
Harry went on to tell me how the training became more dangerous and involved many different environments. But what started to become clear as he went on was the impact his wartime experiences have had on his life and the impact they still have to this day.
Use live ammo. You used to lose a couple of men now and again. Fire over your head, you had to keep your head down, and that's what I did. I've done everything, yeah. Woodlands, heaths, of course heath, no cover. You know, you had to get used to get your head down. And so it was at open country. I've been on beaches, got a bit wet sometimes. We never took any notice of that though. All the lads together. That was a wonderful feeling. Wonderful blokes. Never forget them, as long as I live. I enjoyed it with being with the other fellas. You can't buy that camaraderie. Wonderful fellas, young men, all for a laugh.
Was that what it was at that time?
Yeah, all for a laugh. Yeah. They was young men, see. Didn't know what was going to happen when you got there. But we took life as it came.
In the run-up to D-Day, Harry was confined to the ship that would eventually take him across the Channel, and he became good friends with the men on board. These friendships were important, not only in terms of offering words of support before the invasion, but also for avoiding the restrictions of army rations too.
They got off in the Thames estuary for 3 weeks. Couldn't go over, till I was told. I was on a boat called the Fort Carillion, merchant ship, and I got in with all the crew, and I never ate army rations. I was up in the galley, being an old soldier, knew what to do. I made a lot of friends there with the crew on this boat called the Fort Carillion.
Whilst military chiefs did their best to keep the day and destination of the invasion under wraps, Harry and his friends discovered where they were going in a rather leisurely fashion.
Playing cards. Yeah. We had some French money, that's how we knew we was going. A lot of French money exchanged hands. Wasn't a lot. It wasn't a lot. Manufactured in England, of course. Little 5 franc notes, 10 franc notes, not a lot. They used to gamble with it, play cards all day, pass away the time.
And did you get any shore leave during that time?
No. Nobody knew really what was on, but we knew we was going to France because of the money.
How the men coped with the journey across the Channel has always interested me. Official reports talk of them passing the time in various ways, like playing cards and attending communal prayer. Harry and his friends seemingly didn't give too much consideration to what lay ahead, or if they did, they didn't let it show.
We just hope for the best.
Did you talk about it?
No, no one worried about it. No one worried, I don't think. Well, it's all young fellas, so they thought it was a big adventure. And it wasn't when you got there. No.
Although the journey to France was rough that morning, with many of the men suffering from seasickness, Harry benefited from the many hours he spent as a child on board his family's boats.
I was never seasick. Never. All the people on my mother's side were Devonians, they were all fishermen. And when I was a young kid, 6-year-old, I used to go fishing around Ladram Bay and fishing with my Uncle Dan, who was a fisherman, a professional fisherman. I never was seasick. I suppose I got me sea legs. But I was lucky really because a lot of fellas were seasick. Very poor.
Then the time came to leave the ship for the landing craft that would take Harry and his friends into the beach on the final leg of their journey. The sea was choppy, which made the move between ship and the smaller craft alongside all the more difficult as the men clambered down the nets to embark.
Slip and a miss, but you got there. Oh yeah, we get a certain amount of movement. You've got to take that into consideration. But then when you were young at 18, you didn't take much notice of that. You know, keep on the move. Everybody was in the same boat. And, well, no good complaining.
The strong bonds that Harry had already formed before leaving for France were now about to play their part in giving him the mental strength he needed to deal with what was to come.
When I got over there, they give me, they knew I liked a drop of rum, they give me a bottle of rum, so really I'd had a good drink before I landed. I'm usually fearless, but I was double fear, no fear then when I had a good drink. I just kept my head down. I was with a fella called Craddock, and he was old enough to be my father, old boy he was. And he said, when we get there, mate, it's either you or them, but I think it'll be me. I remember that conversation.
Finally, the moment arrived when the ramp went down, and there was no escaping the reality of what now lay ahead, that beach. It wasn't long before Harry and his friends were experiencing the worst of war, having only taken a few footsteps in the sand. Those first moments on French soil have remained with Harry ever since.
Well, mind. Yeah, I've seen boats blown to bits. No, nothing, 1 minute he's there, next minute he ain't. I live with that. But I never forgot it. Very difficult. If you've been with a bloke for a few years and slept in the same hole as it was, you get very attached to the fella. And I found it very difficult to get along with that. Because life is short. And it's shorter when you've got someone firing a gun at you. Especially an 88mm will blow you off the face of the earth.
Movies depict men storming the beaches, rushing as fast as they can to reach any cover available from the intensive firestorm coming from the gun emplacements and German troops lined along the defences. However, Harry's journey across the beach that morning wasn't quite the same.
I never ran very far. I crawled. Yeah, I think I wasn't standing up, let them shoot at me. I crawled up there. It was early in the morning. Right. Then they realised it was going to be an invasion, my goodness. Then they started. The guns everywhere, noise. Both in the First World War said they never had the noise we had. No. Terrible.
So you're crawling up the beach. How long do you think that took you to get?
Not long. I'm like a little worm. Not long. Can't measure time, and when you know, you think it won't long, but I don't know how long. I'll soon get out of the way, that's what you mean.
Harry grabbed what cover he could, and the troops continued fighting until a bridgehead was made with those joining from other sectors along the coast. Following the beachmaster's order to get off the sand, Harry spent the rest of the day fighting inland as the Allies began to push the Germans away from the Normandy coast. By the time evening arrived, the field hospitals were at capacity, and the wounded were already being shipped back to England. At nightfall, Harry and his mates had made good progress, but finding shelter was hard to come by. In their new perilous foreign surroundings, in which they'd already witnessed the worst man could do to each other, a special bond was formed between the men.
I was well off the beach. There was a hole in the ground. Wherever you went, you dug a hole. Get out of it. When you lived in a hole with a couple of blokes, and camaraderie is marvellous, really. You know, you can't explain it. They used to call it the spirit of Normandy. You can't explain that.
With his feet now firmly on French soil and moving further inland, Harry had strategic work to carry out. Work that not only involved risking his own life, but brought danger to others who helped him, the consequences of which have stayed with Harry all his life.
I used to blow things up. I could blow mines up, I'll blow bridges up, radar stations, I'll do it. Very dangerous job, really. My cover man, he got the bullet for me. But I had to live with that too. I find it very difficult. When you lay a charge, you've got to have both hands, so you won't be armed either. So you've got to have a bloke to cover you with a rifle and pick off by a sniper. He took the bullet for me.
At 18 years old, I wondered how Harry coped when things got bad, and it looked like he and his friends might not get out of a desperate situation.
All the boys say, "Oh, Harry, we're in it now. What are we going to do?" Well, first thing to do, I said, say a prayer. And I used to say a prayer that's in the 1662 prayer book after the communion. And it starts off with a very old-fashioned English word, prevent us. That means go before us. You read that if you've got a book of common prayer. I can't say I get upset.
This moment was yet another reminder of how the experiences Harry went through are still affecting him to this day. Having to witness friends being killed by the enemy must be horrific, but a friendly fire incident in Normandy proved yet to be another terrible experience for Harry that would also live forever in his memory.
We was in the field and the RAF was bombing us, got the wrong place. I had a bloke there called Needs, last school with a Royal Engineer, good old boy. He died in my arms and I could never find out where they buried him. It was the 60th anniversary, 2004, when the historian found out for me. And he found out that this bloke Needs was buried at a fellow called Le Deliverance. Well, anyway, the bloke took me up there. I found the grave.
The story continued after 2004, when Harry decided to try to contact the family of Lance Corporal Needs in Dorset. When Needs was killed, he left behind a 3-week-old baby boy at home.
So I phoned up. A lady answered the phone. I'd like to speak to Mr. Needs. Well, she said, I'm Mrs. Needs. Come to find out, this woman I'm talking to had married the 3-week-old baby. Yeah. In the end, he phoned me in the evening. And I made arrangements, come down to Falmouth. We had some relations that stayed there. And we had a chat, and I told him all about his dad, and we never knew, see.
Harry's war continued throughout Normandy, France, and into Holland. By the time he came out, his mind had seen too much. He was suffering from battle fatigue, what we now term post-traumatic stress disorder. By VE Day, Harry was back in England and in hospital.
I was in the Kent and Sussex Hospital, Tunbridge Wells. I came home on a hospital ship called the Princess Josephine Charlotte. And that was a ferry boat that was used in the Sanders Air Raid. I came home to Tilbury and they put me in the hospital down in Tunbridge Wells. And then they moved me. They moved me from there to Orpington. And my mother used to come down and see me every day.
Harry was discharged from the army in 1946 in Leeds. Upon returning home, he found adjusting to civilian life very difficult.
I couldn't sleep at night. I was sleeping in the daytime. In the night I used to go for a walk. I go through Willet Woods. That's in Petchwood. I lived at Petchwood. Nice place it was. I used to go for a walk. I go right through Willet Woods and I come through over 3 railway bridges to my place. Chislehurst, and come home all through these bridges and over woods and come home. But I never slept at night. I was on the Dartford County Hospital left in Kent for 2 years. And they was trying to help me to forget all this terrible life I led. And in the end, the consultant said, "Sorry, Harry, can't do no more for you. You've got too vivid a memory. You will never forget. So my advice to you is to join the British Legion and any other military organisation and think about the blokes you lost. That's all you think about, and try and do something to make them remember."
Harry took the advice and joined the Royal British Legion in 1950. He's currently the president of the St Austell branch. He's also the president of the Royal Engineers Association Cornwall branch. He was the president of the Normandy Veterans Association, and he's also a member of the Landing Craft Association too. He continues to travel to Normandy at least once a year, and has to be there for the 6th of June. He told me he'd never stop going.
I've got to go. I've got to go. And my missus said, "You've got to go." And she said, "I'll never stop, Harry. No one can stop me. Never. Never. Never stop me."
When you're building up to go, does your mind change in terms of preparing for it?
I'm 18 again. Yeah, I'm going back. I've got to go. Nothing will stop me. I told a woman at D-Day Veteran Harry, "So you're going to get Harry? I'll swim. I've got to go." Yeah.
When the interview was over and we were sat there as more people came over to say hello to Harry and to put money in his collection box, it was very clear to me that this is Harry's purpose. It's an unyielding purpose to make sure we never forget. He's close to the mates he lost when he's out collecting. Listening to Harry and seeing the emotion in his eyes as he spoke is another reminder to me that we owe it to him and all the servicemen and women past and present who've fallen or managed to make it home again to remember. It's less important how we remember, but we must never forget.